Hey guys, it's Scarlett, your Global Kitchen Kid here, and we are going to make gluten-free, dairy-free turkey, quinoa, kale meatballs. And they're super good. I was so surprised when I made this recipe for the first time. They were just out of the park. I thought they would be a lot worse, but they were really good. We're also going to make a super duper simple tomato sauce. This is just like your basic tomato sauce that we're going to coat our meatballs in. This recipe was actually, I made these for Steve&Kate's camp. They wanted me to help them out with their lunch menu and like come up with some recipes for them, and this was one of them. And we had a little setup with these meatballs. So let's get started. We got turkey, kale, any kind of kale works, curly kale, baby kale, whatever you got, just cut up. We got quinoa, chicken broth, onions, and garlic in here, chopped up real fine, and then we got some parsley and basil, then salt and pepper. And this is all for those meatballs. And over here, we got onions and garlic for the tomato sauce. We got 1 big can of puree tomatoes mixed with 2 cups of water. And then we got some chopped up basil here too. So all this stuff is for the tomato sauce and all this is for the meatballs. So let's get started on the meatballs. For the quinoa, this is half a cup of quinoa, and whatever you're cooking quinoa, it's always 1 to 2. But first, we got to kind of clean the quinoa off, if you will. So we're gonna take water just until it kind of covers it, like that. And these guys will like kind of float to the top. Just give them a little mix with your finger, and you let this sit for 30 seconds or so. And we're gonna dump them out to a strainer, so you drain all the water. And then do this process one more time, and then you'll be ready to cook them. So make sure you use a fine strainer so that none of the quinoa gets pulled through, and always rinse it afterwards, because my dad always gets mad if I don't do it, because then there gets stuff stuck in there and it's hard to wash. Now we're going to take our quinoa and put it into a pot, and it's already been washed up. Then we got some chicken stock. So this is a half a cup of quinoa to 1 cup of chicken stock. Now you can also use whatever kind of stock you want. And whenever you're cooking quinoa, it's always 1 to 2. So if you do 1 cup of quinoa, you're going to do 2 cups of liquid. Now we're just going to put this on a stove, put a cover on it, then bring it to a boil, then turn the heat down so it's to a simmer, which has like little bubbles, and let it cook for about 15 minutes. Okay, so now I'll have half an onion chopped and 3 cloves of garlic. We're gonna go over to the stove, get a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of the pan, add this in, and then put a pinch of salt and stir it all up and let it cook until it's translucent or it's a little bit see-through. Then once that's cooked, we're going to add in our tomato puree and our water, and then let that cook for about 20 minutes or to an hour, depending on how much time you got. We're going to cook the onions for our meatballs the same way we'll cook the onions for the sauce. So I have half an onion and 3 cloves of garlic in here. And I'm going to add a pinch of salt. I just realized I forgot to put a timer on this quinoa. That's okay, because I'll know when it's done when all the water or the liquid evaporates and kind of cooks into the quinoa. And also you can always taste it and find out. Our onions and garlic are nicely cooked. We got a little bit of brown, which is just what we want. We're going to put our onions and garlic back into the bowl and let that cool. And you want to leave a little bit of that oil in there. Drain a little bit of it off, because it has so much flavor. And that's what we're going to cook the kale in. Because if you don't cook the kale, it's going to have like this woody, like stringy texture in your meatball, which is really unfun. Okay, our kale is going in. Hear that popping? It's all of the moisture from the kale coming out and kind of mixing with the oil. Because once you add liquid or water to oil, it has that reaction. This is literally going to cook for 30 seconds, and this is already done, just like that. And once it's off the heat, just add a little pinch of salt, mix it up again, And that is ready to go into our meatballs. Okie dokie, so our quinoa is pretty much done. You can see that all the liquid has evaporated into it. You can always try it just to make sure that it's cooked. Everything is ready, so I'm going to dump in my onions and garlic mixture, my cooked kale, this quinoa. I'm just going to pour it out into a bowl, just so I can get the exact amount that I want in it, because too much quinoa can make it really tough and like kind of bready, and too little won't hold the meatball together. You also want to let it cool a little bit, because if we add this in here, it's going to kind of cook the turkey a little. So I just measured out my quinoa and I have just the right amount. Keep in mind that quinoa, once it's cooked, about quadruples the size when it was not cooked. So say you have a quarter cup of uncooked quinoa, once you cook it, it's going to be about 1 cup. So we're going to add all this quinoa into here. You need a good amount of quinoa because this is like your breadcrumbs without being breadcrumbs, which holds the turkey together. And now I have 2 tablespoons each of chopped up parsley and basil. Give it some amazing flavor. And then we got obviously some salt and pepper. And if you don't know how much to season, you can always add a little salt, mix it all up, and do a little test one, which is like frying it in the pan, just to make sure the seasoning is correct. Then you can get in there with your hands or with whatever utensil. So keep in mind, this is poultry, so you cannot eat this raw. You want to make sure that you're really clean and sanitized when using poultry, and also that it's cooked all the way through. We are ready to shape these meatballs and cook them. So my oven is preheated. I don't know what I'm touching now, but my oven is preheated to 350 degrees. And we're gonna take, not cake, which I would love right now, but take a little oil and just put it all around there. Just use your fingers, spread it all around. This will help it get a nice crust on the bottom and also that it won't stick. Just want a nice layer covering the whole tray. Then we're going to take a little bit of our filling, whatever kind of shape you want in your meatballs, whatever kind of size. And these will shrink a teeny bit. They'll basically stay the same size. Then, once you're happy with your shape, put it right there. Try not to play around with it too much or else you'll make it really tough. You just want it to kind of mold with your hands. You just want to use this kind of circular motion. And you can kind of cup it like that. Get those nice round edges and sides. So once you do a couple of them, your hands start getting really sticky and it starts getting like this rough edges kind of thing, which is not pretty. So you want to wash them off every like 6 or so. And the reason we have to do all this extra stuff, because there is no eggs or gluten in this, which is what a normal meatball usually have. And it's also turkey, which is really lean, so it's harder to work with. Now these bad boys slash meatballs are going into the oven for 15 to 20 minutes until they're cooked through. Our tomato sauce is done cooking. It's the right consistency for my liking, and if it's a little too thick as it's reducing, like I said, you can add some water. So now we're going to add in our fresh basil. And this is a trick that like all the Italians use. If your tomato sauce is a little too tart for your liking, you can add just a little bit of sugar. That just helps it. And then you got your salt. And always want to salt and add all your herbs and stuff at the end, because if you do it at the beginning, it'll kind of like get saltier and saltier as it cooks, which is not what we want. So it's hard to control it. So I just turn off the heat, mix it all up, and then we'll give it a taste and just adjust to your liking. Our meatballs have cooled slightly, and all you gotta do is take a little spatula. They're pretty easy to come off. take a couple ladles of, just right on top. And that's it. Delicious, gluten-free, dairy-free, egg-free meatballs with simple tomato sauce. Let's dig in. Now, the ultimate test for a meatball, any good meatball, you should be able to cut through it with a fork or a spoon. Ready? Look how tender. It cuts like butter. A little bit of... So flavorful. You got all that herbs, and you can see that quinoa in there. Like, you'll be surprised at how good these taste. I'm gonna put a little bit more sauce on mine. So good. Alrighty. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment below. Please make these because they will brighten your day. They're so good. And I'm Scarlett, your global kitchen kid. I'll see you next time.